Živa from Slovenia. Živa, hello, how are you?
Hello to everyone. Regards from sunny Ljubljana and from my home office. I would like to thank you for this invitation to this great and very interesting conference. Even though it would be great to be with you in person, of course, but it is as it is nowadays. And it is in the same amount of greatness that the technology enable us to be together, at least online.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just a short question. Will you share my PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, just a quick second. We are sharing your presentation. Yes, it is ready.
Thank you so much.
So take your time.
Thank you.
Good luck.
So a successful work-life balance, if we can go to the next slide, depends on the intersection of three levels: societal, organizational, and individual, of course. And in my presentation, I would like to point to all three levels with the main focus on the organizational level. In the introductory part, I will present the main insights of the societal and individual levels on the example of Slovenia, while in the main part, I will focus on the organizational level by pointing some good practices examples of companies in Slovenia as well as broader in Europe. Before we go to the societal level, let me just point out that work-life balance needs to be understood in the broadest sense of the word, which at the level of companies, of course, includes measures for self-care as well as measures enabling employees to take care of others, children, their partners, elderly family members, friends, and so on. So if I now say a few words about the context of the societal level, Slovenia has a tradition of a dual career model with women full-time participating in paid jobs since 1960s. This has been supported by the state with leave policies and childcare system. Generous maternity and parental leave policies were established in the second half of the 70s, so during the socialist times, and the paternity leave policy in 2003. So it was in the process of joining Slovenia, the European Union. In Slovenia, as you can see on the slide, the currently applicable paid leave scheme consists of 105 days of maternity leave, 30 days of paternity leave, and 260 days of parental leave, which can be shared among partners. Maternity, paternity, and parental allowances are 100% paid, and they base on the employment status. If paternity leave for fathers, please, if we can go to the next slide, if the paternity leave for fathers was a great success, and it is still a great success as more than 80% of men who are entitled to it use it, it is just the opposite as with the parental leave, where only now already less than 6% of fathers use it. Besides the involvement of fathers by using paternity and parental leave, it is also important to emphasize their involvement in earlier stages, like the presence of fathers at childbirth. In Slovenia, we see the increase in participation of men at childbirth in hospitals, and this percentage increased from almost 72% in 2007 to 80% in 2018. The latest policy changes provide an additional 10 days of paid paternity leave for fathers of twins or more live births, and an additional day of paid leave for working parents, so for men as well as for women working in private and public sectors, to accompany the child on the first school day of the first year of elementary school. Besides the paternity and parental leave, it is also necessary to say that the collective agreements in Slovenia determine between 1 to 3 days of fully paid absence from work taken by men when the child is born. And this regulation was preserved from socialist times, from the socialist system. Let me just say a few words about the childcare system. Childcare system in Slovenia is based on widely accessible and subsidized network of kindergartens for children in the age from 1 to 6, and later on also by meals and childcare in the primary schools. For the kindergartens, just to say a few words more, about 2/3 of children in the age from 1 to 3 is attending kindergartens in Slovenia, while around 90% of children from the age of 3 to 6, when they start the elementary school, are attending kindergartens. The majority of kindergartens in Slovenia are public, which means 88%, while 12% of kindergartens are private. If we can go now to the individual level, to the next slide, the latest survey of men as fathers in Slovenia was done in 2015, and the results showed that fathers perceive their role in its entirety. So including emotional support for the child, financial support of the family, spending leisure time with the child, supporting children in everyday tasks. The study also showed us that as many as 80% of fathers are facing conflicts in work-life balance, where worst positions are the men on the opposite ends of the employment spectrum, which means fathers in precarious working conditions and fathers in managerial and leading positions. If we can go to the next slide. At the Peace Institute, where I work as a researcher, we do mainly research and policy work, but also we are also organizing trainings for employers and employees, and we are collaborating with companies from public and private sectors for more than 15 years. In our work, we address caring fatherhood in relation to work-life balance, such as we did in the project Fostering Caring Masculinities, or in the project Fathers and Employers in Actions, and we are continuing with this work in the project Action That. But we are also, if you can move to the next slide, we are also focusing more broadly on men in caring for others. So not only for children, but also for the elderly, for the partners, friends, and so on. And we are doing this in the current project, Men in Care project, Workplace Support for Caring Masculinities. And if we can move to the next slide. And in this European project, Men in Care, we identified good practices of companies in work-life balance in Spain, Poland, Norway, Austria, and in Slovenia. And now, first, I will talk about this organizational level. For Slovenia, we identified and researched, meaning that we did interviews in the following companies: Donar d.o.o., Mikro plus Polo d.o.o., Zaubermacher Komunala, Murska Sobota d.o.o., and the Slovenian police. And here I will present some good practices of measures which enable quality work-life balance of employees. One is definitely shorter working time, meaning 6 hours working day. The pioneer company in Slovenia, which introduced shorter working week, is Donar d.o.o. This company is one of the key players in design furniture, focusing on production of ergonomic chairs with highest environmental standards. In April 2018, basically 2 years ago, the company made a step further in following its vision, less is more, and introduced this shorter working time. The owner of the company said, and I would like to quote him, having observed the work processes in the company for a while, we realized people worked efficiently for 6 hours at the most. The goal was to improve productivity, not with more hours, but with better quality work. End of quotation. So officially, employees still have 8 hours working day, and their social contributions, including, which is very important, pension period, are calculated as for the standard working time, given that the labor legislation in Slovenia does not enable shorter working time without reduction in labor rights. So the employees continue also to receive the same salary as for 8 hours working day. And after 6 months of testing this employment model, the leadership in Donor DO, they reported that the employees were less tired, they experienced less work-related health problems, while the performance did not decrease. So in a way, win-win situation. The owner also says that the employees now have more time for their families, and they have fewer problems, so they are consequently more diligent at work. And what is more, relationships in the company also improved. And step further, work processes are now planned more carefully. Shorter working time enabled the company optimization and economization of working processes, keeping most of the employees and even improve their working conditions, including salary, as I already said, which were not reduced. So better work-life balance was also an effect of this experiment. Then we have company's canteen, as in Micro plus Polo company. This company is the largest Slovenian supplier of laboratory accessories, equipment, chemicals, and diagnostics. And in addition to covering the costs of commuting to work and a meal during the workday, which is a statutory employee's right in Slovenia, Micro plus Polo, they also provides free breakfast for employees in the company's canteen. And with this, the management aims to increase the general well-being and satisfaction of all employees, and specifically to encourage self-care in healthy nutrition for, as said, all employees. The next measure I would like to mention is unlimited paid leave, also introduced in Micro plus Polo company. This is the unique and also for Slovenia pioneer work-life balance measure. Employees use this unlimited paid leave instead of sick and care leaves because it is paid 100%, while sick leave is paid 80%. And it can be used for different personal projects, from traveling, for some extra situations, family situations, and they are reporting that on general, younger employees spend 5 days more than their statutory leave would be, while older employees spend less days compared to their statutory leave. After the introduction of this measure, the company also observed less sick leave, as employees rather take leave when they or their family or children or family members are sick, because sick leave is paid less, as I mentioned. They also reported better atmosphere, higher mutual trust, and less stress. So the management in the company assesses this measure as a win-win situation. Then what we also identified are that the flexibility and the individual approach in working arrangements, including working from home, flexible working time, are very important measures, especially flexible working time in terms of 1 to 3 hours of flexibility in the morning or in the afternoon. Of course, some of these measures are only possible in some companies and in some working places, and we must also know that working from home, so telework, is actually a practice which is nowadays very popular and kind of urgent, but of course there is a big difference between working from home before COVID period than nowadays, as it was already said in the morning. Also, self-care measures such as massage at workplace, personal competence coaching, personal development coaching, joint sport and social activities, psychosocial support, mediation, these were all observed in all 4 identified companies in Slovenia. What is also crucial is supportive and sensitive management to work-life balance measures and solidarity among co-workers in regard to one's work-life balance needs. And these were also observed in all 4 companies. If we can move now to the next slide, besides our Men in Care project partners in Poland, Spain, Norway, and Austria also emphasized the importance of the following work-life balance measures, also related to men, of course, measures related to working time, such as 35 hours working week, flexible working hours, also telework to reduce travel, and compressed work days. Then the management's role as role models for work-life balance measures for men and women in the company, in terms of their sensibilization, and also implementation of work-life balance measures in the company on the company level. Then the role models of caring masculinities among employees. Communication strategies, including companies' policies not to send emails, for example, after certain hours in the afternoon or in the evening. Support to employees when they are returning to work after long period. Also training, educational events such as workshops, webinars, trainings, meetings about gender stereotypes, parenthood, care, child raising, using work-life balance solutions, healthy lifestyle, and so on. And basically, and more generally, organizational culture of transparent communication, openness, cooperation, and mutual support of employees. So to conclude, there is a great need and potential to improve work-life balance conditions and organizational cultures for caring masculinities, and wider to integrate work-life balance measures involving care for children, for partners, elderly family members into the organizational cultures. Next slide, please. And what is there for men? As I emphasized in the beginning, so paternity and parental leave. If we are speaking for Slovenia, 1 to 3 days of paid leave at the birth of the child, intended for fathers. Male care role models, which is extremely important, especially in the working environments where there are many, which are more male-dominated areas. Then peer-to-peer exchange information about the rights and possibilities for work-life balance, which can be also highlighted as examples of good practice. And there is my last slide. So if we can move, thank you. Men's involvement in care obligations in their private lives have positive effects in their on themselves, on children, on partners and other family members, as well as on employers, on the companies where they work, and of course, this also means on the whole society. Thank you very much for your attention.
Živa, thank you very much for you, and a huge appreciation for your presentation.